Gotta tell you when I warned you, we gonna move straight till the morning comes, doing what you wanna.
Welcome everyone to this week's episode of Unrooted Baseball Edition, and my guest for this week's show is none other than junior third baseman on the baseball team, Joe Gillette. Joe, thanks so much for joining me on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Let's start by getting to know you a little bit better. Little do most people know, and this even came as a surprise to me, that you were drafted out of Scotts Valley High School back in the day, the 23rd round by the St. Louis Cardinals. What was that experience like for you?
Going through the whole draft experience was very exciting. You know, a bunch of different emotions. Nervous, being a 18-year-old and having scouts at your games was nerve-wracking, and it was a really cool experience though, because after going through that whole thing and deciding to go to college, and then eventually come in here, now seeing scouts at games is like nothing. You know, you've already been through it, so you're not as nervous. You know, you're like, oh, that's just another person in the stands. So it was a really good experience, good learning experience, and I had fun with it.
Yeah, now I don't remember this, but you know, I went to Palma High in Salinas. I don't remember ever playing Scotts Valley High. I think maybe one time JV year. Did you guys ever play Palma?
We never played Palma when I was there. But,
right.
Yeah.
Probably a good thing we would have kicked you out. Just saying. From Oregon State to Menlo College, that's the transition you've made here this year. And a lot of people might say that's a bit of an odd one to make, going from Division I to NAIA. How did that come about for you?
You know, my sophomore year at Oregon State, it really just didn't work out in my favor, is, you know, how I will explain it. And reached out to Jake, you know, when I could, and he was extremely inviting, and you know, I had heard nothing but good things about Jake. And in the end, baseball is baseball, whether it's D1, D2, D3, NAIA. Baseball is baseball, and if you're looking to get drafted, like a lot of guys, that's their goal, to play pro ball. That's my goal. You know, the scouts will find you. They'll say, hey, you know, maybe pitching blah 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 is a little less than a D1, but if they like you, they like you in the end.
Of course, and as we've seen here in recent years, Menlo College is kind of becoming more of a hot spot for baseball, especially over at the hot corner where you're playing. Guys like Lucas Ursek getting drafted last year and as number 46 overall. So the attention and the spotlight now being shined on Menlo College. So really the fact that it's NAIA doesn't really change anything.
Right.
I've been told that the infield is full of relatively quiet individuals, and you seem to fit that bill a little bit. What does it take for you to get loud?
You know, we are all a little bit quiet, but I would say on the infield, in game time, you know, if we need to be loud, if you're calling a ball, it's easy. Somebody will get loud. I'll get loud on the baseball field.
All right, now let's talk a little bit about the team. Senior day, it was quite the roller coaster of emotions for you guys.
Yeah.
You won you lost game one in extras to William Jessup. Then game two, you wound up winning on a walk-off after blowing a 3-run lead and a no-hitter in the last inning. What were those emotions like?
You know, well, we went into the 7th inning, you know, saying let's go win a ball game. We had 3-run lead or 2-run lead, something like that, and yeah, that was something. That you got punched in the mouth, and you everybody's a little dazed. But as soon as we got back up to hit, you know, everybody's bought in. You know, we knew we were going to win that game. Yeah. So.
And how cool was it seeing the seniors come through in a big way? Reed with the game-tying home run, and then Dean with the walk-off.
That was perfect for the day. That was huge, you know, and they've been contributing all year. So no surprise there.
Tough to get much better than that in terms of a script for a game.
Absolutely.
Coming out of that series with a series win, 2 out of 3 against Jessup, is of course huge. So how much do you and the others find yourselves looking at the standings?
You know, let's see. I think there's times where we look at the standings just to see what we really need to get done, and but we also don't want to look at it too much, because you don't want to be, you know, too many steps ahead of yourself. You want to focus on the next game that you have, and only that game. When that one's done, you can go ahead and focus on the next one. Yeah. So not too much, but you want to know where you stand.
Now the Oaks seem to be really only driving in runs offensively when you guys are hitting home runs. Of course, that's the strength of the team, so it usually still works out pretty well for you guys. What is a potential reason that the bats might be slowing down a little bit in terms of driving in runs without just launching it out of the park?
Yeah, we do love to hit home runs. That is a Menlo College thing. And, it's just baseball. It happens. We've gotten baseballed a couple times, and what I mean by that is, you're going to hit it. Sometimes you're squared up, it's going to go right to somebody. I think we're heating back up, and that is all in the past.
Yeah. Of course, this is the right time of the year to be doing that.
Exactly.
Now that you guys are going into your final conference series of the year. We'll talk about that in just a second. On most teams, you would be one of the premier power hitters. You got 13 doubles, 5 triples, 13 home runs. Insane stats. On this team, you're the third best power hitter because you got guys like Julian Gerard and Jordan Getzelman hitting behind you in most cases. Do you, Julian, and Jordan compete for glory at all?
I wouldn't say we compete for glory. I think everybody contributes just as much as me, Julian, Jordan. Everybody's got a role on this team, and I would say we definitely push each other. Jordan with 25 home runs, Julian with 18 now, I believe. Those are quite the stats. I mean, why wouldn't you want to chase that and try and either pass them or get to them? So it's fun. I think it's a blast.
A little friendly competition never
Absolutely,
hurts.
absolutely.
Now, this isn't so much of a serious question, but I've been begging for the answer. When Brett Solano and Jason Alexander pitch, you guys win. They both got 8 wins compared to just 1 loss total between the two of them. When Andrew Merkin's on the mound, it seems like he gets no run support. He pitches almost as well as both of those guys. He's got a sub-3 ERA, and yet he's only got 2 wins. What's going on?
Merkin does a great job along with Solano and Alexander. I think that's just baseball. That's just how it works. It's coincidence. Merkin's doing a great job, and it just happens to be that sometimes we don't produce as much when he throws. I don't think it's not anything more than that.
It's nothing personal, of course.
Right.
Well, we're going to see Merkin pitch this weekend down in Westmont. You guys are wrapping up the year in conference play with a big 4-game series against Westmont. They've been struggling, and right now they're on the outside looking in the playoff picture. What will it take to keep them as outsiders?
Westmont always plays us very well. It's a dogfight every game, especially we've only played them twice, and those games have been very intense. So we just have to come with our A game, compete at our best, and keep them on the outside.
Yeah. Now, if the Oaks get 1 win, you guys clinch a playoff spot. It's crazy to think that even at this point, as well as you guys have played all year, you still haven't made the playoffs yet.
Right.
But you can still be the number 1 seed. You can literally go anywhere. You can be the 1 seed all the way through the 5 seed, or you can fall out. How much is that wearing on you guys as you head in for this final conference series? Is that on your minds at all?
Not too much. We know what we have to do to get in. That's the main goal. We also have a goal of winning the conference. But we got to set our sights on the next game and focus on that first, and then we'll worry about the upcoming ones.
All right, Joe, let's get into the final segment of the show. It's called Brownie Bites. I'm going to ask you 3 off-the-wall questions. Give me your best answer.
All right.
Question number 1. If you could take any teammate on an international trip, who would be your last pick?
My last pick, I am going to have to say Justin Cooney.
And why is that?
Justin Cooney is a goofball, and he would probably get sidetracked and wander and get lost.
I feel like he'd be the kind of guy that would get thrown out of a few places. Maybe.
Who knows?
Well, I guess we won't find out if you're not going to take him on the trip. Question number 2. Which player, and this could be anybody on the team, would scream the loudest if they got drafted?
Scream the loudest. That might be Cooney as well. I think Cooney would scream with joy, and I hope he gets to do that. You know who would be a really underdog candidate for that?
Yeah.
Justin Bruce. Justin Bruce. He might scream
the
too.
Most quiet guy on the team. But if he were to get drafted, I feel like all of a sudden he might become the most vocal guy.
He very well could.
You never know.
Very well could.
Question number 3. The best road trip story from 2017 so far is?
Every road trip. I've had so much fun with these guys on these bus trips that are 8-9 hours down to LA, San Diego. There is never a dull moment on that bus.
And you guys have had plenty of road trips this year.
We have.
I guess it's tough to choose.
It is very tough. It's a blast.
Well, Joe, thanks so much for joining me on the show.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. And fans, don't forget, this is the final conference series of the year for Menlo College, and their final 5 games of the year will be taking place this weekend, ending on Tuesday. They begin a 4-game conference series down in Westmont. That starts on Friday. A couple of doubleheaders, one Friday and one Saturday. They'll wrap up the season in conference play there, and then they'll come back up to the Bay. And just announced, on Tuesday there will be a non-conference game up in Rohnert Park, hosted by Sonoma State, and it will be against Sonoma State. Then the regular season will be over, and the playoffs will be right here, hosted by Menlo College. More information to follow on that. We invite you to tune into next week's show. Joe said he was going to pick Jake McKinley anyways for the show, but Jake was going to be my interviewee next week, and he'll wrap up the season here on Unrooted Baseball Edition. I'm Brian Brownfield. Thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.
Try to tell you when I warned you. We gonna move straight till the morning comes. Doing what you wanna. On a rainy day in autumn.